Greetings. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dave, my call sign is N8DAB, and the motto for my channel is one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. Today I'm going to talk to you about battery boxes. I make and build quite a few of my battery boxes. I have one commercially purchased one, and I'm going to show them to you here real quick. But today I'm going to show you how to build a 100 amp hour or 1280 watt hour battery box. Now that's a fairly large size box. I use mine to power things like my fiance's CPAP machine overnight, which is much larger than I really need. I also can use it for powering my my couches, so I can put my feet up and down while I'm, don't have any power in the house. I can use them to power lamps. I use it to, I'm going to be building two more to power my refrigerator. So I decided that I need to have about 24 hours worth of power for my refrigerator. And so I've decided that two of these 100 amp hour battery boxes and a 500 watt inverter is going to be enough for what I need. And that will power my refrigerator for approximately 10 hours to 12 hours for each box. So if I have two boxes, it will power it for approximately 20 to 24 hours. Now my intention is to go 4 hours powered, 4 hours off, 4 hours powered, 4 hours off, so I can extend the amount of time that each battery box can power the refrigerator, and just about double. So I can probably get approximately 18 to 20 hours, maybe as much as 24 hours out of one box if I do 4 hours on, 4 hours off. So this is what I intend to do. So let me show you what I've done so far in my really short 3-year ham radio career. I'll be right back. So this is my 10 amp hour battery box. This is a 30 caliber ammo can. And what I've done is I've used two terminals so I can attach bare wires if I need to. I have here, I have two USB-A ports and another one with one USB-A and two USB-Cs. Another one just like it over here on this side. And then also I have two power ports. So I use the power ports. One, I use it for charging. I hook my charger into one of the power ports, goes right to the battery, charges it right up. But I can also power a lightweight radio, such as a VHF-UHF radio off of this for quite some time, actually. It works pretty well. But can I power an HF radio? Only a low-powered HF radio, like maybe a QRP type, one that does maybe 10 watts or so. But if I want to do like 100 watts, then I need something a little bit bigger. And so I purchased this box quite a while ago. I bought this one off of Amazon. It's available for about, I don't know, about 60 bucks or so. It comes with everything except for the battery itself. And once again, it comes with two terminals for having bare wires. It comes with 5 power port terminals. Two here, and one over here. This is an on-off switch, and the other one has an on-off switch too, and I'll explain that in a second. And then this one is the voltage meter reading. Sorry about that, voltage meter reading. And then I've got two ports here and here that have two each USB-C and one each USB-A ports. I can charge things for a week with this thing, no problem. But I can also run a radio that is an HF radio that puts out 100 watts for an entire POTA session, several hours anyway. So that's basically what I'm using them for. Is this one I'm using for my POTA activations, and I use the smaller one just to keep my phone and all my other stuff charged up, my iPad and anything that takes USB-A, USB-C. It keeps everything charged up for me. And by the way, the other day I had a 36-hour power outage planned by the power company, and my 10-hour battery box kept all of everything charged up and working at full tilt for the full 36 hours. In other words, I was using my phone as a hotspot, and I was using my iPad to watch television and movies and whatever else, and that just kept everything going for full 36 hours. And so that's pretty good performance, if you ask me, and that's what I use them for. Now, I also have, some of you know, I also built a repeater using a middle-sized or mid-sized Harbor Freight Pelican style case. And in here is another 30 amp hour battery, and I have power poles right here, a set of 2 power poles. So just in case I need more power, I can always use that as a backup to my 30 amp hour box. It's another 30 amp hour box. 30 amp hours is a pretty good amount. It lasts for a pretty good long time. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you is the one I'm going to build today. Now, this thing is very heavy. Weighs about 30 pounds, maybe a little bit more. And this is another Harbor Freight Pelican style case, but this is one of the larger sizes. Not the largest size, but one of the larger sizes. In here I have a 100 amp hour mini battery. Weighs about 21, 22 pounds. The battery itself, and it puts out 100 amp hours or 1280 watt hours. And on the side here, sorry, this thing is heavy, I have 5 outputs. I can charge a lot of things. I can power anything I want to. What I do is I have several inverters, 12 volt to 110 volt. And I can plug those into the power port connectors. And with that, I can power anything in my house. I have a 500 watt inverter, which I use for my refrigerator, which this box can power up to about 10 hours, maybe as much as 12. It depends upon how much the compressor runs during that period of time. Excuse me. Then I also have a couple of 300 watt inverters, which I use for all sorts of things. Like I plug my couch into it so I can raise and lower my feet and recline, you know, in my chair. I can run lamps. I can run my TV if I want to. I don't usually run my TV when the power goes out. I just usually watch everything on my iPad because it connects using USB-C, and that's a much better use of power. I also have 200 watt solar panels that I can use to charge all of these things during the day if the power is still out. Plus I also have a 6 amp charger and a 20 amp charger for when power is back on in the house. I can charge up all my battery boxes as well. So today I'm going to be building one of these 100 amp battery boxes. I'm going to show you how I do it from the start to the finish. I'll show you how everything is wired, and you can price everything out yourself, but battery was about $150 and about $150 for all the other parts and pieces that you will need to build it if you buy everything off of Amazon. I have a tendency to buy a little bit better quality stuff, so you could probably cheap out a little bit more and maybe pay a little bit less for everything. But I use very heavy gauge wire in mine because I don't want to have that possibility of burning anything up. I also fuse everything. I also run everything through a circuit breaker. I use that as my on-off switch for everything. Now, each one of these little ports has got a little voltage meter, which is really cool. So you know how, and this is the light that on the switch that tells you that the switch is turned on. Anyway, it's kind of cool that you can see how much voltage is in the battery, because when it gets down to about 12.1, 12.2, something like that, or even 12 volts, you know it needs to be charged. And it just gives you an idea, so you don't have to worry about draining your battery all the way to the bottom. But the thing is, they also have a little switch, and it turns things off. And okay, when you see me next, I'll be out in my garage, and I'll be drilling holes in one of my boxes. All right, be right back. All right. Here I have my box that I intend to use. This is an Apache 3800 box. I don't know if you can see that or not. And this is the second from the larger size, so it's actually not bad. It's a good size and it holds everything that you need. Just so you know, I have over here, I have 5 places where I intend to drill the holes for the charging ports. All right, so here I am. Got this set up right here. Check it, make sure, yep, pretty much in the center. All right. And you can watch me drill All right, final product. 5 nicely drilled holes. I'll clean the back sides of these a little bit, get some of this extra flashing out of here, as you can see. And then I'll clean out the box, and it'll be ready to start mounting all the stuff in it. Be right back. If you like my content, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. I would really appreciate it. And if you want to see more of my content, please click on the bell icon so you can get notifications of everything that I release. I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much for your consideration. All right. After drilling the holes, the 5 holes that we have here, I test fit all the different things that I'm putting in here. So first, I have a 2 USB-C, 1 USB-A charging port. I have a second one. And then I have a 2 USB-C and a USB-A charging port, but this one has the voltage meter right here in the center, so it tells me what the voltage of the battery is at all times. You can also turn that off. There's a little switch right over here. Oh, it's not. I thought there was. Oh, yeah, it's up here. I'm sorry. Okay, right up here is a little button. Push it, and it turns it off. Then I've got the cigarette lighter plug adapter, and then, of course, the power ports. All right, so that's what I'm doing. Inside, you can see now I've just test fit these. I haven't tightened them up yet, but this is where the power ports are. This is the cigarette lighter plug. This is the center charging port with the voltage meter on it, and then the other 2 charging ports here. Now, there's a few different ways that we can wire this up, and I'll go over that in just a minute. All right, here's the battery that I intend to use. Now, I bought this fairly inexpensively off of Amazon. I usually wait for them to have a sale on these things. The one that I like to use for these battery boxes is what they call a mini. So it's 100 amp hour, 1280 watt hour, LiFePO4, and it's a smart battery, so I can actually watch the condition of the battery using a Bluetooth app on my phone. But the size is called a mini. It fits in here very nicely, and they're making these things smaller and smaller just about every time I go through. And I think there might be one even smaller than this now, so you guys might want to check that out. Normally, I like to put the battery in like this. Now, I like to put it in like this for a reason. One, we can always run the wires a little bit longer, but this way I can grab the handles like this, and pull the battery up. All right. The problem is a lot of people like to do it this way to shorten the wires a bit. And the issue with that is that we're going to be mounting things either on this side or on this side. And if we mount them here, which makes more sense, they interfere with the handles. And plus all this wiring in here is going to interfere with the handles. So I prefer to make things just a little bit longer as far as the wires are concerned, and then drop the battery down like this. All right. So that's what I prefer to do, but you can do it any way you like. So I'll leave a link to all the pieces that I use here in the description. Now, the first thing we're going to look at here is what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire this up as a power switch. Now, this is a circuit breaker. It's a 30 amp circuit breaker, but I have 40 amps coming today. I'm going to be using the 40 amp models, but I thought it looks just like this, same size, same everything. So what this is a circuit breaker, just like at your house. You push it, turn it on, push the button, and when this thing pops out, it turns off. Now what I like to do is I like to mount it right here, just like this. So I just push this, turn it on, push this button, turn it off. All right. Here, I have a distribution block. Now, I like distribution blocks only because it makes things a little more neat, a little more tidy, and a little more easier to understand if you're having problems. So what happens is you run the positive wire to here, the negative wire to here. These are all your negative terminals. These are all your positive terminals. And in here, for each positive terminal, you have put your fuses. So each individual circuit is fused. Now, what a lot of people like to do is I like to use inline fuses like this, right? So you have a fuse just like this, or you have all your little things that you install in here come with wires, and these are already fused. So you don't really need to use a separate fuse on a distribution block. You could put all the black wires to the negative terminal, all the red wires to the positive terminal for each wire, and then plug everything into each one of these ports down here. And that makes it a little easier, and everything is separately fused. But I prefer the distribution block with the power switch that turns everything on and off. So when I'm not using the box, everything is turned off. There's no power drains. There's no chances of anything shorting out and making this battery short out and explode. So I like to do that way. Now with the power switch, what you do is you run your positive wire from the battery to here, and then this becomes your positive wire that goes to the distribution block. All right, so just like this. So your positive wire goes to here from the battery. Positive wire from here goes to the positive terminal on your distribution block right here. All right, and that's it. And then your negative comes all the way over to here. Everything is very nice. And then what I do is I use double-sided tape, mount it to the sides here, so I can actually pull the thing off and move it around if I want to, do whatever I want with it. And it makes things a lot simpler. All right. The distribution block comes with a nice cover, just like this. It comes with many different sizes of fuses. It comes with little stickers if you want to put them on the lid here so you can tell what this thing is. This is a marine thing, so it's got all kinds of marine things. It comes with a little instruction book. Oops, I just ripped it. All right. And the battery comes with little caps to put on the tops of the battery so you can remember which is positive, which is negative. And of course the bolts that go into the terminals of the battery. And then you put your little ring terminals on there. And that's really about it. Oh, and the power switch or the circuit breaker comes with instructions, and it comes with some very nice copper lugs, which I may or may not use because I don't have wires that big. I'm not going to necessarily use them that large. Now, the Circuit breaker, I'm going to give you a warning right now. Do not rely on the circuit breaker instead of fuses. Fuse everything, because these circuit breakers sometimes are not accurate. So if you have, let's say in this case this is a 30 amp circuit breaker, it may take 35 amps to trip it. Sometimes they work correctly, sometimes they don't. So don't rely on these things. I'm using it only as an on-off switch. And I suggest if you're going to do that, you do the same. All right, when we come back, I'll show you how I get everything mounted. Be right back. Now I have decided to use 10 gauge wire to run from the battery to the switch and to the distribution block. Okay, so we need to get the right size crimp connectors for this. So what I'm going to do, first, I'm going to size these up. I'll be right back. All right, so I've picked out, this is the stud that goes onto the battery terminal, and I picked out the correct crimp connector size, fits perfect, and now I have to pick out the size for the switch, because we're going to have one go straight to the switch. I think this is going to be the right one. Yep, this is the right one right here. So I'm going to make a red wire that goes from the battery terminal here to the switch over here. So I always save scrap pieces of, sorry about that, I always save scrap pieces of wire. And here we are. This is a scrap piece of wire that I had. This is 10 gauge. And I'm going to use it now to run from the battery to the switch. All right, I'll show you what I do. All right, now I've crimped the two terminals, the big one on this end, smaller one on this end, and this is ready to actually start wiring things up, but not going to do that yet. So the switch, I like to have this piece facing upward. So I just touch it, or I can push this button and it pops up, okay? So this is what I like, and I like to mount it like right about here. And this wire is going to go from this lug down here over to this lug right here, all right? So something like that. Then the positive wire from here is going to go to the positive wire lug here. So if I have these mounted like this, I only need a short piece to go from this lug here to this lug here. All right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make, next one I'm going to make is a very short lug. Be right back. For those who want to see, I've got a 50-foot roll of 10 gauge wire, red and black. So this is what I use to wire up this battery. All right, so I've now made up the short piece between the switch and the distribution block. All right, I just made up the black wire to go from the negative terminal down to the bottom of the distribution block. That's going to be right about here. So I made it a little bit long, but that's okay. Better too long than too short. In my first box, I had to run the wire across the top like that because I made it too short. So I wanted to make sure I had it long enough to do what I wanted to do. All right. The next thing we need to do now is to start wiring up these things here. What I also going to do is I'm going to start making up the wires for the power poles. So let me get that going right now. All right, I've got all the wires prepared now. I've got the ring terminals on the ends of the power poles. I've got the power poles already inserted and mounted. I got rings on the cigarette lighter, and I decided to use the wires that came with the charging ports. They already have like a little, what do you call it, a little fuse already in here, but I'm going to go ahead and just double fuse it just to be on the safe side. I don't know what size fuse those are, so I'm going to make sure I get the proper fuse on the distribution block. So next time you see this, I'm going to have everything wired up into the distribution block. All right, be right back. All right, I'm back in the shack. So here we have the distribution block completely wired. What I've done is I've taken these first three units, and I used the wires that came with it, and I just put the first one, the second one, the third one, first, second, third, and again with the black, first, second, third, right? And then the next one is this one right here, and then the last two are the power port. Okay, so everything's wired up here pretty much. I've got to put fuses in here, and and then I'm going to put in the battery. This is going to get set in here like this. Then what I'll probably end up doing is taking some wire ties and tying all this stuff together. Put the battery in, wire this to the switch, then wire the switch to the battery. Take this negative, wire it to the battery, just like this, and we're ready to go. So usually what I do is I wait to put the fuses in. I put them in one by one just to make sure that something isn't wrong, because I don't know if these things might be shorted out. When you buy them brand new, you just never know. So I'm going to do it the way I always do it, and that way everything is protected just in case. All right, so it's going to be a little while before I come back and finish this up, because I have an event to do tonight. So we're going to get moving on that. I'm going to get dressed, and so again, I'll be back and we'll be finishing this up. Okay, getting right back to it. I've got my 40 amp circuit breaker right here, and I'm going to install it right now, wire it up, and so the only thing that will be left to wire up will be the two terminals on the battery. Be right back. Here's what I've done. I've wired in the positive wire that goes from the distribution block to the switch, and I've put in the positive wire that goes to the positive terminal of the battery. I have also added two pieces of really super strong Velcro, which is designed to hold about 40 or 50 pounds, both here on the bottom of the switch and on the bottom of the distribution block right here. And they are going to get put onto the battery. So what I'm going to do first is I've also put two large pieces of Velcro on the bottom of the battery. So I'm going to install that right now, and I will be right back. Okay, got it completely assembled now. I've got the distribution block attached to the battery. I've got the on-off switch attached to the battery, and I've got the battery attached to the box, all using very high strength Velcro, good up to about 40-50 pounds. I've got the terminals already connected, so everything is ready to turn on and start to test. And I'll be right back. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my 40 amp fuses in here. These are for the power poles. And I want to get these in so I can read them. All right, so now I've got my two 40 amp fuses in, and I'm going to turn it on, and power is going in. I can see the lights that show when there's nothing in there. When there is something in there, then we have the lights turned off. Be right back. All right, I'm going to put the 15 amp fuse in here for the cigarette lighter adapter. And now I'm going to test these out to make sure that they are working. Be right back. All right. Here we go. I'm going to plug I have a 500 watt pure sine wave inverter, so you can see. And this is what I'll be running off of this battery box. And I've got the Anderson power poles, and I'm going to plug them in for the first time, make sure this thing is working. All right, going to turn this on. Green light comes on, fan comes on. It's working. All right. Now I'm going to try the other pair of power poles. And that's working. Excellento, excellento. Okay. Next thing I'm going to try is the cigarette lighter plug. So what I have here is a cigarette lighter plug on one end and power poles on the other. So the power poles are going to get connected to the 500 watt inverter. So you can see I plugged it in. Now I'm going to plug this into the cigarette lighter plug and see if the inverter works. And here we go. And it doesn't work. Okay. We need to figure out why, folks. I'll be right back. All right. Figured out what's going on here, folks. Turns out I didn't plug the cigarette lighter plug in far enough. So, my fault. I checked all the fuses. They're all good. I checked power. It's good. I turn this on. Oh, it's working. All right. Very good. So now we know the cigarette lighter plug works as well. Be right back. All right. So now I've got 3 10 amp fuses, which I'm going to plug in. Can't see, that's the problem. There we go. All 3 10 amp fuses. All outlets are lit up. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check USB-A charging. Oh, let's see, I have to get something that I can charge with. Let's see. Let's use a UV5R Mini. First USB-A plug in. And as you can see, it's charging. 6-to-1 charge. Perfect. So now all my charging ports are working, as well as everything else. The last thing I need to do now, well, there's 2 more things I need to do. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten the nuts on every one of these things here, so these things are tight. I'll be right back. All right, I'm going to turn it back on again. You're going to see that these do light up. You can turn them off with the switch. And you can see this one says 12.7 volts. Usually I take these off a line and start charging them when they say around 12, 12.1, or if they get below 12 to like 11.9, I'll take them offline and I will start to charge them. All right, but they do get their little rubber covers and everything's looking good. This thing is working correctly and working good. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I have this cover that goes over the fuse block, the distribution block. Okay, this is the end of the project. I've got the cover on, it's protected. These big fat wires kind of keep this little piece from going completely on, but that's okay. All right, I'll give you a quick rundown right after this. Done. Perfect. So as I always ask, what did we learn today? Well, first of all, we learned that using really heavy gauge wire, sometimes you can't get the cover over on the distribution block, but that's beside the point. Also, we learned that we need to push the cigarette lighter plug farther in to the socket, otherwise it doesn't work. I also learned that I need a little bit more light so I can place the fuses in there a little bit, but I've already built one of these boxes. This is my second one now. This is my second 100 amp hour box. And I learned a little bit from the first one. I did wire it very slightly differently. I didn't wire the power poles directly into the switch. They are live at all times, but they have their own inline fuses, so they are protected. But that's the only real difference. So the other thing that you might want to consider is that some guys like to put in solar charge controllers inside the box. So all you have to do is hook up some solar panels. Also, sometimes they like to wire tie or Velcro or glue the inverter to one side of the box so it's all in one unit. I like to keep all my things separately because it becomes modular. In other words, I can use any of my 300 watt inverters with this box or my 500 watt inverter with this box or any box. Since I'm going to have 3 of these boxes, I can use my one 500 watt inverter with any of those 3. I can also use any of my 2 300 watt inverters with any of the 3. And when you are charging these boxes with solar, they have to be very close to the solar panels. So chances are they're not going to be in use while you're actually charging them using the solar panels. So why they each need their own charge controller, I don't know. That's an extra added cost to me. I use one charge controller for all 3 boxes and for the set of panels that I have. Again, everything's modular, everything uses power poles, and it all works out really, really well. So you can also add more or less charging ports. As you can see, as you saw, I have 3 USB-A and 6 USB-C charging ports. You don't need that many. You don't have to put that many in. I just happen to use up to 6. I've used 5 quite often. I use 3 almost daily, and I use 1 or 2 definitely every day. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what you might want to do. Now, with my 10 and 30 amp hour battery boxes, I also have terminals for bare wires if I had something that used bare wires. But since I've standardized on power poles, I have nothing with bare wires. And so if somebody else has something with bare wires, well, we'll have to figure something out. What I can do is I can cut the power poles off of the cigarette lighter plug, and then I can strip the wires, and then I can hook up the bare wires to that if I need to. But that's none of my stuff uses bare wires anymore, so I don't really need them. But you can put those ports right there on the box. I mean, you can make it yours. You can make it any way you want to. You can put a larger battery in, smaller battery. You can make it bigger, smaller, whatever you want. I mean, the beauty of this is I designed it for my use, but you can design it for your use. All right. So thank you very much for watching this video. It took me 3 days to video this whole thing. And it's going to take me a good day or two to actually edit the whole thing and get it uploaded and everything like that. So anyway, I really appreciate you watching that all the way through the end. And I really appreciate you if you would click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and click on the bell icon so you get notified of any and all of my videos that I release. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day. 73.